welcome back to the Final Whistle podcast. And from you see the face and you hear the voice, you know it's Javon, and I'm back with another one-on-one with Javon. This one today, I'm not gonna lie, I have a personal favorite. Somebody who just doesn't care what or how he says it. He says it's brawling. Them man in a business with people, youth. Every day on Twitter, it's another fist fight. The one, the only, carefree Louis G. Wagon, brother.
Yo, big up, man. Thank you for the brilliant intro, man. Really appreciate you. It's an honor to be on the show. Thank you, bro. Hopefully the first of many. And yeah, again, also I want to say sorry that it took so long for us to set this show up. I'm an absolute nightmare at times, and that's my bad. But I look forward to the show, man. It's an honor to be on. Thank you, bro.
No problem, bro. Bro, we see you putting in the work. You're on various different shows. You're on shows with Open Panel. You have your own channel. You're on Troops' channel. You're on Chelsea Fan TV. You're one of the leading voices in Chelsea, bro. So we see you putting in the work. We can only
trying to protect this club as much as possible because the media are trying to rip us left, right, and centre. Although I say that, they've been a little bit quiet over the last week or two. I haven't heard as much.
You know why? Because they're starting to win games. If we weren't winning games, it'd be a shit show.
Jamie Carragher saying that we're not a young and exciting team and 50 players and all of that. Suddenly all those rumours are dead.
Oh, people should stop signing for our club. But we'll get into that later on in the pod. And hopefully, like how you're as brawling as I am, we'll rip them a new one. The Jamaican people them know what I mean. So let's get into it. The first question I always ask, man, why Chelsea? How did you fall in love with Chelsea?
So, first off, I live about 20, 30 minutes or so from Chelsea. So, it was either Chelsea or Fulham. It was going to be one of the local teams.
Mm-hmm.
I knew nothing about football. Just everyone in my primary school was starting to get into it. So I thought, let me be a sheep. Let me follow. I need to find a football team. What's going to be my football team? And because I'm a kid, I'm thinking, oh, Chelsea's blue. Thomas the Tank Engine's blue. Mm-hmm. Thunderbird 1's blue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with the blue team. That was
jeez, no more Thunderbirds, bro.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Big up Thunderbird 1. Yeah, I'm blue. I'm Chelsea. And thank God. Thank God, if I was growing up as a Fulham fan, things would be way more depressing than it's been for me recently. But I like to think I made the right choice in life.
Most definitely.
And it wasn't about football. For everyone's like, oh, you glory hunted. It's because Chelsea were winning. No. I didn't know if they were 1st or 15th.
Yeah,
they were just blue and local. So
yeah. Everybody has a different starting point for when they started to support club. Baba told me he's literally started supporting Chelsea because on I think it was FIFA 99, he just chose a blue team, and then he watched football for the first time, club football, and he realized, this team is actually good.
One like that. There's a few people like, yo, I was playing FIFA, and then this guy was my favorite player, so I supported his team.
Exactly.
Also, I just watch a mad moment from Drogba or Hazard, and it just drags them into football and all of that.
Most definitely. You fall into this team and to this club different ways, you know. So that's cool to know. You live a few minutes away and you went to school and it was, hey, let me find a football club. That's good. At what point did you start to understand the game where you're saying to yourself, it's gonna be just more than a occasional support or occasional watch thing?
I think it was 15, 16, if anything, because I think it's because like when I first got into football, it was like purely match of the day and everything and highlights because we weren't able to have Sky at the time and all of that. Mm-hmm. So like as you go through the next few years and everything, like it's still watching it from a casual perspective, but I'm still following the club a bit more. Start going to games a little bit more from around the age of 14 because then I can actually go by myself and everything. I can actually buy single tickets. Mm. But it's still a little bit difficult. So I go a couple times a year, still watch on the match today and everything, but like I can only really catch highlights in the odd full match. 15, 16, it gets a lot easier because everyone's not going to games because the football's dreadful. Mm-hmm. And I think it's also, for me, I started analysing the games more when we were terrible. When it's easy, when we're winning, it's like, all right, you can just catch the highlights. You can figure out all of that. Mm-hmm. When you're seeing that Chelsea are losing every single week, I'm watching because I'm thinking, what the hell's going on?
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Well, why is Fabregas now? Why can't Fabregas pass to save his life?
Facts.
Why has Costa fell off a cliff?
Why are we
What's
so
happened
open
to
defensively
Nemanja
through the
Matic?
midfield? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you start analyzing what went wrong a lot more, and you just start delving more into football as a whole. And then you get into 16, 17. Now I've just started getting hooked to going to games because I went on a mad streak towards the end of 15, 16. It was easy to get tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going every home game for 16, 17. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously when you go to the match, you're just locked in. Just
Mm-hmm.
locked in for a full 90. And that's how I found myself like just understanding the game a little bit more.
Okay, cool. Now, on this podcast, it's strictly about you and your journey before we get into the opinions on the football end. So I'm gonna dial it back a bit. Can you, for those people, because I've never been to Stanford Bridge, so for people like me listening around the world who doesn't have that privilege, what was it like going to your first game and seeing us score that first goal? Describe the
That
atmosphere and the feeling from your eyes. And yeah.
I feel like nothing beats the first time, and I'll say the first couple times as well. Now it's just like, yep, up to the bridge, another home game. Let's hope we actually have an atmosphere this time, and just like whatever happens, let's hope we win. But before it's like, yeah, because you're actually seeing like superstar players, you're seeing big names. Although I say that my first game was a loss to Burnley in the Carabao Cup. No, not Carabao Cup, Carling Cup. It was Carling Cup back in the day.
Mhm.
It was a 1-1 draw. Drogba opened the scoring. And like that was crazy because it was right near my side as well on the West Stand.
Mhm.
Then I think Burnley equalised. I think it was Adiakin Bayi. And then we lost on penalties. I didn't even get a chance to like sink in because my dad just wanted to beat the crowd. He's like, let's go.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking, wow, my first game was a loss.
That-
I'm right next to the away fans too. They're all going crazy because they just done the cup shock over Chelsea.
Mhm.
But yeah, like nothing beats the atmosphere. I barely was even focusing on the match for that time because I was like 9 years old or something. And what was it? The first times you're not just at the bridge, but like at grounds in general,
Mhm.
you find yourself just taking in the scenery a little bit. Like you're looking
Mhm.
around a lot. You're like looking at the shed end and like the view from that side, and like
Mhm.
Matthew Harding, the away fans because they're always going crazy half the time. And like, yeah, that's the main thing I'd say. Like you take in the scenery a lot more the first couple times.
Mm. Nice. So, honestly, I'm gonna have a couple more questions at being at the bridge at home. Obviously, this is during the Roman era, where things were a lot more successful, or things were successful because we kind of just started the current era. What was it like going to home games when we won that league title? What was it like? And I, I don't
Oh,
want
the
to
atmosphere was
date you.
amazing.
Okay, okay. I
Like,
don't want.
like that's the best atmosphere I've been around at Chelsea. 16-7. It's part of the reason why. Yeah, I know the whole Conte situation fell through badly, end up suing the club, and I can never hate him because
Mm,
that season was unbelievable,
mhm,
especially coming off finishing 10th and like the mood around the bridge at that time. It just instantly got lifted right back up to where we were before, and some of those home games were insane. I remember like Middlesbrough, we won 3-0, and I got my ears cleaned out the day before because I had a blockage for like a month or something. The atmosphere, even then, it felt like a Champions League night because you're hearing everything in like 4K at that point. And
HD
then I went
hearing.
to West, yep. Then I went to West Brom the week after, no, 3 days afterwards, and we won the league there. Watford the day after, and like the 3-4 months before. Nothing beats those home atmospheres when you're close to a league title because the confidence, the belief, it pours out of all four sides of Stamford Bridge, and like this is mainly part of the reason why the atmosphere is so dead now. Like I get it, we need to do our part, but like I use especially the last 2 years as an example. The
Mhm.
players have to give you a little something. The
Yeah,
players will give you
definitely.
something to believe in. If they start the game well, if the team's starting the game well, you get the fans on side. You
Mhm,
score a goal early, you get the fans on side.
mhm,
Like the last season or two, it's been a bit more of like a nervous feeling when you go to games,
mhm,
and it just again it comes out from when you're in the ground because you
mhm.
don't get that same atmosphere. So it's not the same now, but like back in the day, different.
Yeah, I understand. What what was it like seeing Willian? Oh, because remember at that time from that season, my favorite game was when we racked up the Etihad and we whooped Pep Guardiola the 3-0. What was it like? What was it like seeing Hazard, Costa, and Willian and Pedro in that title-winning gear at home at the Bridge?
Bro, that Willian goal you mentioned, that was like my first away game out of London.
Oh,
And I swear when Willian scored, I had an out of body experience. Like, that is like one of the braziest atmospheres I've been in, because like the whole away ends just went from a lot of nervousness in the first half. To the end of the second half, yeah, we're winning the league. We're winning the league. We're straight winning the league. Just the turnaround and just the smash and grab and the clinicalness in our attacking play, Hazard effect as well and everything. Like, yeah, we're winning the league. We're winning the league. Sorry, like, come back like that. We're riding that momentum. And that was like our 8th win in a row at that point. The whole, like, watching Eden Hazard still to this day, bar Messi, the best player I've ever watched live. And it annoys me to no end that his entire Chelsea career, he was surrounded by ineffective forwards. Because genuinely, it's the only reason why we don't have the Messi, Neymar, Hazard debates that we realistically should have been having. All due respect to Mohamed Salah, look, I like him. I don't want to talk down on his ability. He's not Hazard. He is not even Hazard. And the only reason why he's even in those debates is because of the players that we surrounded Hazard in. And sadly, I even include Diego Costa in that. Costa's the best of the bunch. You only got him for half a season, though. And that was always the thing with him.
Exactly.
Half
And
a season, best in the world. The other half, you might get 4 or 5 in the second half of the season, but that's it. It's like a clear drop-off.
Exactly, because my argument around that is because I wanted so much more from Hazard because you see he could give us more, but here's the issue with that: he had to change from being the out and out out ball where you could just take the ball, beat a couple players, score, to being that creator. Remember, under Conte, and then transition into Sarri, he played left wing, right wing, cam, center forward. Like there wasn't.
And he was also hooked off in 60 minutes every game.
Exactly, he didn't have the role that Mohamed Salah had. Because when you compare him, because remember, all Salah had to do was chill out on that right wing at all times. When he gets the ball, get in behind, be creative when he needs to be creative with the goals and assists. But his main role is to score goals. Hazard didn't have that. Hazard had to take the team on his back every single time, and when he didn't, Willian would step up every now and then, but it wasn't shared across like when Salah had Mane and Firmino. So I understand where you're coming from.
Used to drive me insane in his final years. Like, I respect everything he's done as a servant and everything. I got no ill will towards him, but the last few years, it used to drive me nuts. Man would beat like 2-3 players and then just do twinkle toes in the final third and let the defense get back into shape. I'd be like, pass the ball, bruv. Or you just end up missing.
Or you just hit the post 3-4 times and then you get frustrated and bad.
Oh, that Barcelona game as well. He's doing
yes, sir. Yes, sir. He could have had a hat trick in that first half. Oh, man, I like talking football.
Left. And they gave Willian the 10. I can't explain my anger at the time because I'm still grieving personally. I'm like, I've lost Eden. This is the only forward I genuinely rate bar Giroud and we don't play him.
Did we lose Pedro at the same time? Yeah, we lost Pedro at the same time, correct?
No. He was still there that season, but like he was getting on a little bit by then.
Okay.
Playing too tough. And then we gave Willian the number 10 unwarranted. He came on against Leicester and dropped a 2 out of 10. I was fuming. Like, you give him Hazard's number and he can't even cross a ball. Fuming.
Yeah, I understand. And getting away from the football here, let's take it back to you. At what moment did you resonate with this, with Chelsea Football Club to say this is more than just a game, and I'm actually going to take it and wear it as a badge of honor? Because I asked that question it's a little bit different than the question I asked before, because if anyone's online and they see how you rep Chelsea like you're in the military. You rep Chelsea like we'll go to war for this.
Yeah. I don't know, because because I feel like I've always been like this. Generally, I just feel like because as soon as you get into football, you're just getting into arguments. And then as soon as you get into arguments, you're just getting more and more defensive because you're backing your football club. I think I could say maybe the more I got into YouTube, the more I got into it as a badge of honor because you're doing a lot more in terms of speaking to more people, you're on a bigger platform and all of that. But in all honesty, like, been doing it from the start. Always been defending Chelsea from the start, like from when it was the 06-07 season, and I feel like we lost the league title just off the back of unlucky injuries. Lost Cech and Kudachini in the same game. I think John Terry got booted in the head in the cup final. 07-08, I can't lie, we bowled it. That was a straight bowl job and everything. And 08-09, we fell off somewhere between around the start of the year with Scolari. But I feel like I've been defending the team for years. It's just the more you're on YouTube, the more of a platform and the more times you're in the defensive mode, I guess.
Okay. All right. So tell us about how you started your content creation journey and how it transitioned into just being all about Chelsea and why you didn't cover different clubs, whether outside England or inside England.
So I started just doing the odd fan cams on Chelsea Fan TV. No, it wasn't Chelsea Fan TV at the time. I think it was Chelsea Fans Channel. That and 100% Chelsea. Then people just started liking my opinions a lot. So I was like, yeah, let me just hop on 100% Chelsea full time. Did content there regularly for 2 years. Then went to Chelsea Fan TV. I've been there ever since. And that's been basically it. I've always kept it Chelsea because honestly, I just didn't care about other clubs enough to talk about them. That was just it. Like, for me, even now, it's like, I see a lot of people doing content about other people's clubs, and I'll do, like, panel shows on other teams and everything. But when it comes to videos, I'm not doing it unless I'm cussing out the team. I'll be sorry.
Yo, we're in over there.
If Arsenal win like 2-0 against City, I ain't doing no video. Why do I care? If Arsenal lose 2-0 against City, cool, say less. I'll do a video just cussing them out because they're rivals. I'm not here to give you praise. I'm not here to glorify you or glaze you or anything like that. I'm here for when you fail. I'm here for when you suffer. And whenever that moment arises, I will be there. That's just me. I can't be asked doing other sorts of content this long.
Okay, I understand. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. So, with that being said, right, during your content creation career for Chelsea, what are some of the best highs you've seen in the space?
Oh, definitely winning the Champions League the second time. That's number one. Like, all I wanted to see in my lifetime at Chelsea, that was the main thing on the bucket list. I want to see us lift the UCL. Porto, thank God I got the chance, even though like you had to pay for like 2 PCR tests for the whole thing. But yeah, that was the best one. There's been a couple European aways. Ajax, unbelievable couple of days out.
Wait, hold on. You were live in Porto? You went to the game in Porto?
Yeah, I was at the game. I did a match day vlog on it. That was a sensational day.
Bro, you can't. Hold on, brother. Hold on. No, hold on. Let me Hold on. We not come again. We not come again. You not just going. Oh yeah, I went to Porto. But all right, hold on.
That's the ticket. That's the match ticket.
Oh, nice. Damn. The reason why I said that is like it's on my bucket list to go see us in a Champions League game, yet alone a final, right? So we're going to deep dive into this. We're gonna go back to the semi-final, right? When we were in the semi-final, and you saw how we finished both legs in the semi-final and we won. You gotta walk me through trying to get tickets, and when you decided that, yep, I'm definitely gonna go.
Bro, I was in 2 minds about it because like the whole thing looked pricey with the PCR test. But I told myself, like, look, you've said the number one thing you want to see is us lifting a UCL. I don't know when the next time we're going to be in the UCL is. I don't even know how we've got to a UCL final when we were 9th in January and we just sacked Lampard. Go. Just go. And if you lose, fuck it. Like, whatever. It is what it is. Maybe we'll get another opportunity. Although then again, you look at the last 2 years, no one would have said that even a year ago. But
True.
yeah, it ended up going. Didn't sleep at all,
Mm-hmm.
like the night before. I literally went into the ground and I didn't even notice, but I went to the ground, found my sleep, and slept through the entire warm up. Just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I dropped my head down, I woke up, I was like, why is everyone on the pitch? What the hell happened?
Mm-hmm.
I was just groggy for like 5 minutes. So I went to my mate, did I fall asleep? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I didn't clock. I was like, yeah, I probably fell asleep. But
Nice.
and again, great. Glad I did that. Because like the next 2 hours were just unbelievable. I had everything down as a 1-0 game.
Mm-hmm.
So because like I felt we were very even going into the match. Both teams had great defenses,
Mm-hmm.
not the best attack. Midfields that can dominate each other depending on the day. It's come down to whoever scores first. So
Mm-hmm.
when we got the first goal, big up to Ederson for helping Havertz in his dead touch. I was like, the game's done. The game's done. I was crying for like the next hour from that goal because I'm like, we could play for another 2 hours. I don't think we'll concede.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I know what this team's capable of defensively. 1-0 game was done.
Yeah, because remember when Tuchel took over, he beat Pep 3 times in the space of what, a couple of months.
Yeah.
I know Havertz left to Arsenal, but he had a good touch. The touch allowed him to take the second touch around the keeper.
That touch was going out for a goal kick. Ederson's little touch helps slow it down a little bit.
Oh yeah, he did take a little nick when he was trying.
Yeah, watch it back, bro. They think
Oh,
it's an agenda. No, there's truth to
that
it.
is true because it wasn't a clean touch around the keeper. The touch flicked off his elbow or
It
something, and
was
then you
a
went,
hefty touch that bounced off his hand into the
damn.
perfect position.
And all the
Ederson won Chelsea the Champions League, bro.
bro at the time the song that was going around was "It's Friday night, it's Saturday, Sunday." What? The minute I see him took the touch and the goal was open, I lost it. I blacked out after that. I was at Buffalo Wild Wings. I was drinking. I was eating wings. I blacked out. It was the time of my life watching
Bro,
that.
the only annoying thing about that trip was because I did the charter flight, we had to leave immediately after the game, and the return was just horrific. Like, we were in the coach for an hour and a half before we even went to the airport. Then we were stuck in the airport for like an extra 3 hours, then stuck in the plane for another hour and a half before we even left.
Mm-hmm.
So we were meant to be back in London for like 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
We got back for like 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still on like 1 hour sleep. So it's like throughout the last 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have to come back and have to immediately go and live stream.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still trying to get the match day vlog out because my phone's just been an absolute mess for the lot. It was long. But the one thing I learned is don't do the charter flight, just buy the ticket and get a hotel sorted early.
Okay, all right. So let's take it to the scenes and the streets of London when we brought home the UCL. What was London like? Living there. What was London like when we collected that second Champions League trophy? Arsenal
Bro,
doesn't have
I
one.
missed all
Tottenham
of
don't
it.
have one.
Bro, I missed all of it because I was in
What?
Porto, wasn't I? But the scenes looked ridiculous. One of my mates who's a big City fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was in Fulham for the game.
Mm-hmm.
He was watching it with his girlfriend. And like by full time, the guy's crying, he's emotional, he's sad and everything. Then he tells me he looks out the window and he sees a big ass drone display outside Stamford Bridge with like the 2 stars,
Mm-hmm.
London is blue, champions of Europe. He's got like 100,000 Chelsea fans just piling into Fulham, just going crazy.
Yeah.
Like everything from full time,
Mm.
I wish I was in London for.
Okay.
But being in the game, I won't change that for anything.
Yeah. My
The
question was
first
more.
time though, it was crazy. I did the little what was it? The tour, not the tour, the little parade they have the day afterwards. I went to that one. They were selling Arsenal toilet rolls for like 10 quid.
Yeah. So my
Celery
question.
left, right, and center. It was all mad.
Yeah, my question were more geared towards days after bringing home that trophy. So yeah, because let me give an example. Like when Jamaicans win a major Olympic title, there are celebrations in the street, especially when the players come, when the runners come home and the athletes come home. I want to garner that sense of
Bro.
environmentalism, if that's a word. Atmosphere.
I hear it, but we didn't get it because of COVID. Remember, because like that's what the whole
It slipped me.
yeah. So it's like no trophy parade and nothing after the game. It weren't the same. It weren't the same. Like we got robbed of the 2017 trophy parade as well when we won the league, but that was more because of like national emergencies because everything with ISIS at the time.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, behavior. Yeah, yeah,
They,
yeah, yeah.
they didn't want to make a risk like that. I understand too, but yeah, we haven't had a trophy parade in a minute, and we haven't had a league and a Champions League one for other reasons.
Yeah. So
Which is
obviously you mentioned you celebrated the first one, but I wanted to explain how it is in your eyes as a younger as a younger human being. What is it like to not having to have to analyze anything and just live in the moment of that parade?
bro. It was even better then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're winning. That's just it. Like ultimately, I could just chill, just like doing the whole match of the day stuff and everything, and just be casual. Because again, when you're young, you don't care too much and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're young and you're a Chelsea fan, you especially don't care because it's like, oh, top two, probably gonna get a domestic,
Mm-hmm.
might win the odd league here and there or a UCL if we can finally get there.
Mm-hmm.
But better than everyone else except maybe Man United, depending on the year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can easily just be casual about it because no one can really chat to you. It's only United. United were a nuisance growing up. They beat us to everything. Going to school after them lifting the Prem title and then the Champions League on our head top the week afterwards. That
Yeah,
was annoying.
which takes me into my next question. What was it like growing up in London with that Manchester United v Chelsea rivalry? Arsenal was there for a while, but then they fell away to the wayside. Liverpool just never amounted to anything in the league.
Nah, they were a UCL rivalry. They weren't a league rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
But with United, annoying. Just straight annoying. Because like bar that one FA Cup, they always had the better of us. We'd win the odd game here and there, but like they're winning the title. So what's a loss to Chelsea at the Bridge when we go and draw to Wigan unwarranted and then draw to Bolton last game of the season? Like whatever. Like that's the thing. 07-08, greatest one, probably the greatest team we've ever had, but we bottled it. Carling Cup final to Spurs. The also final to Spurs.
We gave them a
Then
trophy.
Barnsley in the FA Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've got what else? And then Wigan and Bolton, and we sacked Jose early on in the season. Just got lucky that the players could coach themselves through the rest of the season.
Yeah. I wouldn't say luck because when you really look at that team, almost everybody and their dog was a leader or captain of the national team.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't
more
even
lucky
say.
that we had those like mentalities in the squad.
Yeah. Unlike now, if you can't even find a captain, but yeah, it's. I like talking to people that's actually from the area because as an outside fan, I was talking to Bob about this on the one podcast I did with him, and it's something we both agreed with. Bro, he's from India, I'm from Jamaica. We don't know, what the rivalry is like, and I'll ask you now with Spurs, with Arsenal, with West Ham, can you put into context what that? And I think you're the perfect person to explain this. What that rivalry is like the harshness of it, or how serious it is. Because to us, it's growing up at that time. It was Manchester United. My brother is a big Manchester United fan. I hate United to the core.
But this is the thing for me because like it's subjective. Ultimately, it's subjective. Like I think even in the eyes of like local or match-going fans, because a lot of match-going fans will tell you that our biggest rivals are Tottenham and Liverpool, and like I'll hear their reasons for it. But for me, as a Chelsea fan, as a fan that just grew up supporting Chelsea, it was always Arsenal. You talk to me about Tottenham being rivals, like, no, that ain't no rivalry. It's bullying. We battered them at home all the time. We battered them away most of the time. We knocked them out of cups for fun. They got that one Carabao Cup over us and nothing else. Like, no, that ain't no rivalry. Chelsea v Arsenal's a rivalry. Liverpool, I hear it. I hear it. That's an OG UCL rivalry with a lot of history behind it. Fine. I don't mind that. Tottenham, like, who cares?
The disgust on your face.
It's 3-0, like little Tottenham, like who gives a damn? Arsenal's the real rivalry about who runs London and all of that, and even then they ain't done nothing to really take the throne off us anyway. But there's an actual argument to be had. Like they'll bring up, we've won more trophies than you, we have more league titles. We'll say we've completed the set and we bring trophies that you can't bring to the table. There's an argument. There is a rivalry. Tottenham. No.
Tottenham, no.
Even Man United, I hear it. Man United, they ruined my childhood, but even them,
Facts.
hated Arsenal more. Because, like, at least with United, as much as I despised them, I respected them. They were a serious team. Like, if I lost to United, I'd be like, United, but they're a good team. Arsenal are crybabies from day one. Just excuse merchants, and nothing's changed in 20 years. They're hypocrites, they're turncoats, they're chameleons. 10 years ago, they were mocking us for playing the same football that they're playing now, but we won trophies doing it, and they can't win trophies doing it. They're hypocrites. From top to bottom. Havertz wasn't better than Smith Rowe 2 years ago. Now Havertz is a sensational, amazing player, and they fixed him and they changed him, but they need a striker, and he can't play in midfield. Like, no, this is why I hate Arsenal more. They are illogical. They are an illogical institution that react only on emotion.
And people wonder why I say he's very straightforward and brawling. This man don't care, bro. Like, it's a fact.
I don't want to talk to me about Tottenham. Like, get good. Win a trophy. Well, it's the same thing for Arsenal. When fucking hell, Arsenal just Tottenham in red.
Right? I was trying to hold off, but let's get into it. Cool. Let's start here. If you could, all right, what are your thoughts of Chelsea Football Club since the takeover to now?
Definitely been rocky. Definitely been with a lot of mistakes from the ownership too. Sacking Tuchel was so stupid, just for the timing alone. Like, if you were to sack him immediately walking in, I mean, like, okay, you couldn't have got off to a worse start, but I would at least, the 1% that I would respect in that decision was that you did it at the start. You walked in and you just did it in the transfer window. You didn't give him an entire window to bring in players, spend about 250 million, and then sack him a week afterwards. That's dumb.
They didn't even have a sporting director when they did it too, so...
Then there's the whole Graham Potter situation. In hindsight, I do regret being Potter out. Because, like, the more I look back at it, we were good defensively with him. He had the worst attack that I've ever seen in Chelsea history. Just scrubs left, right, and centre, and Aubameyang, who the owner...
My bro. Sorry to cut you. This man pulled up to a Champions League conference and said, I've never even watched that. I've never been to a Champions League game, and I've never coached a Champions League side. For me, that's a sackable offense. At least act like you've been there. Continue.
No, I hear all of that. Like, he definitely wasn't great in the press conferences. Like, that's one of his worst attributes. But when I look at the stuff on the pitch, we weren't bad defensively. The midfield was a mess from the start because we never strengthened on it, and the attack was the worst Chelsea attack I've seen in my life. He could have done better for me for last season than Pochettino ever could have. If I knew what Poch would have done with this Chelsea team, I would have never been Potter out. And that's where I kind of regret being Potter out. Hiring Pochettino is the second worst decision this ownership ever made.
You didn't even let me ask the question, people. He went right into it.
Yeah, if we're going to go the whole 2 years, right, we should have been top 4 in a Carabao last season, but because we had Pochettino in charge, we failed with both. And that's the reason why this project looks crazy. That's the reason why there's been so many questions behind it. And that's been my biggest problem with the ownership, the manager identification. It's held us back for 2 seasons. If we were 4th and if we had the Carabao, there isn't even a third of the eyes that are on Chelsea right now. We've already won a trophy in the Bowley era before the likes of Arsenal ever have. We're back in the top 4 within a year after being in 12th. Things look a lot more progressive. You probably are able to offer Osimhen the amount that he wants because now we're in the Champions League.
We're making Champions League money.
Yes, and then you can just have the little 30% off if we drop out the top 4 as a clause like everyone else has. But because we weren't in the top 4, because of that awful coach, we had to only do 150k a week max.
All right. I know this is going to give a lot of people, including myself and you, PTSD, but we have to dive in the Poch era, right? Because This is one of the things that I respect about you. You call it like it is, because
Mm.
again, I'm a student of the game. I didn't just start a podcast to come in here. Who's been on the journey has been on the journey with me. You gave Poch until a certain number of time, because at the time, I think you're one of the ones as well that said it. Given the amount of youth we had into this squad, he was kind of the best guy to kind of try and get something out of it. Now this is before we knew the shit show that we're about to get.
From the PR we got. So no.
Yeah, from the PR we got.
But
Take us
that's
in.
also my L for ignoring his time at PSG, because I had guys on my streams telling me, I've seen him at PSG. No, I don't want him here.
But
Then I saw the stuff he did at PSG,
Mhm.
and I was getting a bunch of quotes and everything in his first few weeks, and I was thinking, oh no, he's doing it again.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I did the research myself, because at that time my podcast was strictly audio based and we did multiple leagues. So I was an avid watcher and still is an avid watcher of the league. My defense is no one wins anything at PSG other than the league. Like it's guaranteed. He did win the league, and then the season I think it was under him. There was a season where he didn't win the league, but then he followed up with a league and a cup. And I'm like, it's PSG. No one wins UCL at PSG. I'm not gonna use that and judge him. I'm gonna go more off its time at Tottenham, only because when Tottenham gave him a shit budget, the only star player he had was Harry Kane, and Harry Kane debuted under Pochettino, and stuff like that. So that's why I was kind of okay with the Pochettino signing. I know it's not my podcast, but my interview, but when Pochettino started, I'm like, okay, saw what he did in preseason, and then the first match day, just because of one injury, barring in mind, you knew Nkunku was an injury-prone player anyways. Why are you going to throw away the entire system you built, which was the inverting the fullback? But I'll let you go.
It wasn't even just that. It was the way we were going into certain games. First 5 games of the season, easiest start of the season, we got 1 point, I think, out of 5. And like, oh no, we got 1 win out of 5. That was it. We beat Luton 3-0. Before that, I think we played Wimbledon in the League Cup, which was like one of the most insulting games I've ever seen in my life. That was a League 2 Wimbledon side. We won with a penalty, and because their goalkeeper went walkabouts, we had to bring on Enzo and Jackson just to look like a decent football team. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, yeah, maybe it's early days, but oh my goodness, what was that? And then we have Nottingham Forest at home. We play 2 forwards. Like, that's still one of the worst games of football I've ever watched at the Bridge. We never looked like even creating a chance until like the last 5 minutes. I just think, what are we doing? Then we go to Bournemouth, and he says we had to time waste and protect the point against a Bournemouth side that hadn't won a league game at that point. And when I heard that quote, that's when the first red flag went up. I was like, oh, he might be Tottenham. He might just be Tottenham. I was ignoring the whole Tottenham thing, but the more he spoke, I was like, this is a Tottenham mentality. Mm-hmm. Right in front of our eyes. Now I'm watching us. As soon as we concede a goal, we just completely flop. Like the Arsenal game, for example. Yeah, Declan Rice and Gusto both fumbled for both goals. But as soon as we conceded, we looked like we were conceding another 6 in the last 10 minutes. And that was a constant feature of us. And then whenever we'd go into a lead, we'd sit back.
For no reason.
2-1 up against a 9-man Spurs. And Poch was telling the team to slow down and time waste. A 9-man Spurs. We only got the other 2 goals because Palmer ignored him. That's it. That's the only reason why number 3 and number 4, he wanted to defend 2-1 against a 9-man Tottenham. I said, I'll give you till Manchester United away and Everton away. Because the pair of them, if you can't get 6 points against them lot, I'm done. The Man United game was enough for me to just turn.
I was clocked out after that. That game, bro, I was done. I took my Chelsea's jersey. I almost burnt that. I started watching WWE after that. I was done, bro.
Bro, he came out after that match and said there was nothing wrong with the performance. I was like, yeah, I'm done. Get him out. Get him out tonight. By the time I get back to London, I want him sacked. And like, I think that was my last away game for like 5 months.
Yeah, I remember you boycotted.
I had to do the other thing was I had to do a couple tax returns I was behind on as well. But with the same breath, if I owe money back to the government, I am not burning my money on Pochettino ball. You want to keep him in the job? Cool. I'm gonna keep myself out of the bridge. I did the cup final, lost. If the less said about that final, the better. Because like the nerve of him waffling about inexperience all season to defend against children in a final at extra time, should have been sacked on the spot for that. We were only good for 20 minutes. Everyone act like we deserved to win. We never deserved to win that game in the first place. Our tactics were hoofball to Jackson and pray. And then they're all like, oh, Van Dijk had his greatest ever final performance. It could have been an easier final for him. I think even the Tottenham game in the Champions League final would have been tougher for him than that. Our tactics were hoofball and pray to Nicholas Jackson, and then we took him off when he started doing anything.
You know what I remember? When he put on the attacking stops
as well.
Mm-hmm.
What?
No, I was saying, you know what I remember as he said it? I'm sorry again. When he made the attacking subs and then he told them, put on attacking players and told them to try and draw for penalties.
Against kids. I was seeing him bring on children and they were dominating. They were making chances. I was like, yo, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. And then we drew to a 10-man Burnley. Everyone got gas because we had an amazing comeback against Manchester United. Like, that comeback couldn't have papered over the cracks anymore if it tried. Like Chelsea, that United Chelsea game, I likened it to two homeless people fighting. It was just awful from both sides. And then because United had the collapse to end all collapses, they're 3-2 up in the 99th minute of 9 minutes added time, and they lost. It's meant to be a reason to keep Pochettino. 5-0 to Arsenal. The fact he wasn't sacked at full time was disgusting, personally. But that game didn't even hurt for as much as I hate Arsenal. Crazily enough, as soon as I saw the lineup, I knew we were walking into an arse kick. I knew Havertz was scoring because he'd be motivated. I just thought, you know what? The fact that this came under Pochettino's Chelsea actually softens the blow a little bit.
Because we weren't good.
Distance myself. I don't claim Pochettino's Chelsea. I don't claim anyone that stands by Pochettino. I was at a point of the season where I was like, if you rate Pochettino, I just straight up don't respect you. I just don't respect the fact you watch this crap. You watch us get dominated away to a Sheffield United team that's got some of the worst stats in Prem history. You watch us lose to Middlesbrough's C team and have Pochettino come out and say, it's okay, we have injuries, when they had 16 injuries and 2 of them were in the match. He said, Caicedo said, oh, we lost to Middlesbrough. The last time Brighton lost to Middlesbrough, he wasn't even a professional footballer. It was like, okay, you want to stand by this? 8 goals conceded in 2 games against Wolves and Liverpool. I don't respect you. I don't respect you. So I was like, oh, 5-0 to them? Not my Chelsea.
Because there's what some people may not understand is there's levels to it. When you're just not good enough and a team is clearly better, it hurts less than when you're supposed to be competing with that team. Right? So, like, perfect example, the Arsenal City game. If Arsenal had lost 5-0, 6-0, they would have been shattered because they're meant to be competing with it. So that game is supposed to be close. When we lost 5-0, I was frustrated, but the frustration was coming from it's X time down in the season. Me as a fan that hasn't gone to the professional level of coaching you have gone to can tell when you need a structure, can tell you don't have a structure, could have set up the team 10 times better than how you set up the team. Could set up in a defensive block where we didn't need Palmer or where we didn't have to rely on Palmer that much. Because remember, I think Palmer was suspended or something.
No Palmer, no Gusto.
No Palmer, no Gusto, right? But it got to a point where I, as a fan, shouldn't feel like I can do a better job than you as a coach. You know, yes, we have our opinions, but when I'm sitting down, and at the time I was on Matisse's playback, when I'm sitting down, pulling out my coaching book, because I'm also a coach as well, but pulling out my coaching book and underlining and highlighting clear errors for a whole 90 minutes, it shouldn't be like that. Because there's supposed to be a clear difference in level in terms of tactics where the fans shouldn't try and outcoach the person on the sideline. There should be like, oh wow, you taught me something new. Not necessarily from every game, but in high profile games, nothing,
This is the difference
absolutely
between a
nothing.
Poch and a Tuchel. Because I remember Tuchel, the amount of times I'd go into a game thinking, what's this lineup? Why are we playing this front three? Why is Alonso starting? Or like any of that, or Malang Sarr or whatever.
Hudson-Odoi at left back. Why?
Yeah. And then we go and we win 3-0 and we dominate. I'm like, you see, that's why you're the manager and that's why I'm the streamer. That's it. I want to question things and be proven wrong. When it's Pochettino, I'm just like, you're an idiot. You ain't got any tactics. Like, even when I listen to you talk, it's just running. Run, and keep running. These are your tactics. We are not in 2016. We're not. These sorts of things don't work. They don't take you anywhere. But, like, he's still living off the Spurs thing and everything. That's why he's had to go into international football now. Because, like, the club football, you clearly aren't cut out for it. The way he was talking, he knew he lucked out on the job and he got the best job possible for him because he wanted to move back to London. And there you are. Chelsea are there begging for a manager and we were very clueless in our search for him, so he just took anything he could have and just focused on runners. That's why he wanted guys like Chilwell and Conor Gallagher starting. This guy with his talent ID, he wanted to keep Mount, he wanted to keep Havertz. I think he wanted Renato. It wasn't Renato. It was Gabby Veiga. He wanted Gabby Veiga over Palmer. Ugarte over Caicedo.
He didn't want Felix at the time, which pissed me off.
He wanted a contract extension after that season. If they gave him if Pochettino lasted to next season, I would have been clear lake out. If I heard Pochettino was saying, I've been, I'm done. I'm done. You stand by this crap, cool. You're not serious. This club is finished.
Okay.
The fact that they sacked Pochettino, I was like, you got one more season.
Okay, so let's get into that because we're gonna transition to that. At the end of last season, we saw upturn in form. That last 5 games. I know you normally refer to that last 5 games as the doom and gloom that pulls a wool over everyone's eyes. Now, at the time, and I'm going to be honest, at the time, only for stability, only for maybe there's something here. I was asked a question on All You Can Eat Chelsea. What did I think? I wanted Pochettino to stay on with the caveat that you give him 2 or 3 games in the new season. If things change, sack him. Only because you know how Chelsea has been. We have never had manager stability. Ever. And when you look at the percentage of the manager turnover, clearly it blew through that in their first 2.5 seasons. Right?
It was like 4 managers in 2 seasons or something.
Exactly.
Like that.
So I was more on we need some stability somewhere. Because remember, we also overturned the squad within 2 transfer windows. And then we started bringing a bunch of youth. So I was more chasing stability than the actual coach. But then when I started to do my reflection, that United away, drawing to Burnley and Sheffield, who got relegated again, I was like, you know what?
You saw the Pochettino list I put on Twitter. I dropped that at the end of the season. It's like, you might want to forget over 5 games. Here's everything. Don't forget. It's still on my pinned thing on Twitter.
I did see that. That's what triggered the revisionism. Because anyone who knows me, I'm not afraid to say when I'm wrong. Right? I will wholeheartedly stand by a point until I'm proven wrong. When I saw that triggered the revisionism. I'm like, you know what? Never mind. Bend that. Get me somebody. And then we went through the whole thing back and forth with me and Robert.
Well, with you on the stability thing, it's just with the right coach.
Exactly.
If you have stability with a crap coach, like it's more stagnation, if anything.
Exactly. And it's
Maresca, 5-year contract. You have told me we're winning a league title with him with that contract. He better not be gone in a year.
Exactly.
You ride or die by Maresca.
Exactly.
And if you ain't good enough, that's on you.
Exactly.
You picked an inexperienced manager straight off another L with Mauricio Pochettino.
Yeah,
so
and that
now, like, everything is on the owners. They can't hide.
Yeah, which brings me to my next question. What was going through your head at the time? Because I know you were firmly Poch out, but what was it like for you going through these managerial selection? Because and another thing why I was so conflicted is these people distance themselves from all the big name or reliable managers that we knew could get something out of the club. The Enriquez, the Hansi Flick. We see what Hansi Flick is doing at Barcelona right now. So people that say, "Oh, that's a terrible show." Just look, Nagelsmann. Chelsea decided to distance themselves from that and go to more on upcoming names. And at the time, football did transition to giving these new managers and young managers a chance. But at the time, it's not what Chelsea needed. So, what were your thoughts at that time?
Genuinely, I was so scarred by the Poch era, I didn't care. When I was like, cool, you've told me that you're looking for a possession-based manager, and you've brought in a guy who is a possession-based manager. Up and coming, like, I can actually have a bit more empathy with Maresca because he is actually up and coming. I will expect him to make mistakes. I'll expect him to have some down periods even in this season. It's not Pochettino who said, we're going for the league title in the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. There's no time, there's no patience. And literally match day 3 when we lost to Nottingham Forest, he asked for patience. Like, it's not contradictory stuff. He comes out in press conferences, actually does educational stuff, actually explains his tactics and all of that. I don't mind because you gotta be up and coming. Like, it's not always going to be the same faces in coaching. People have to make names for themselves. If you've identified Enzo Maresca as the next manager that's going to make a big name for himself and be the next big manager that we could have potentially been looking at in 3-4 years' time if we were serious, fine by me. It's not Maurizio Pochettino. I've already seen the worst manager in my lifetime. It cannot be worse. And if it is worse, you're finished.
You're finished? Yeah. That's on the club, not the manager. Yeah. Because at the time I wanted either Inzaghi or Flick. Because I knew
Deserby.
Yeah.
I think harness.
Yeah. Because I knew they could get that because of their track record. That's all I had to go off of. And then I had to do my research on Maresca. And then during my research,
the manager market was a little bit dry at the time. I got
facts.
the argument. But we have the worst manager in my history, and I would argue top 4 worst managers in the league at that time. Get rid of him. I don't care if the market's dry. It's probably better than what we already have. Just because your goal is crap. Well, then maybe that's not the right reference. Just because he's crap doesn't mean you have to stick by him, innit?
Yeah, and that's understandable. When we hired Maresca, I think I was probably one of the. Let me not say that, but I was one of the content creators who did that deep dive. Pause. But what I said in the sense that I reviewed majority of his games from Leicester. I reviewed his tactics. Luckily, he had that video where he did on YouTube for the tactics, how he explained it, and I have a video on my channel as well explaining Enzo Maresca's tactics. And so said on my video, so said, so done. He checked every box I wanted him to check. Because once you check those boxes, which are clear style of play, don't play around with players, be authoritarian, and have room to develop and understand when to change certain things. I don't care how you finish this first season. It can't be bad. It can't be as bad as that season. You understand? And so said, so done. What were your thoughts on the Maresca signing, and how do you think he's doing so far?
Better than Poch. But it definitely hasn't been like the easiest start, but it has been an improvement. I think we've improved the squad as a whole. We're starting to get the best out of our players. It is still early days, so I don't want to do too much on it all. But the last game, you've seen an improvement in the defense, and I do think Crystal Palace was also a good performance defensively from us too. Midfield, comfortable with. Like we got selection headaches there. We got selection headaches throughout the attack as well, and that's a really good thing. And we're firing offensively. My only real problem or worry about us is defensive transition. I do think we're still struggling with that a little bit, but like, you're gonna have issues in the first couple games when you're changing a style of play, and not even just changing a style of play, implementing tactics on a team that hasn't had tactics in a year. And have also just merged together within that year. With that in mind, we've had some dominant performances, some unlucky results. I do think the Crystal Palace game was more unlucky than anything. Like, I found it hard to be really annoyed at that game. I thought Dean Henderson had an absolute man of the match performance, and we could have been 3-0 up at half time. Felt like one of them typical 22-23 Tuchel home games where we don't take our chances, they get a wonder goal, and we end up with a draw.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been visible improvement within a lot of areas in the squad, and it's only early days. We'll find out a lot more by the next international break, because that's when the tougher fixtures come down, and we'll really figure out where the squad's level's at. But for me, top 4, like, we were already capable of it last season.
Yeah.
I feel even more assured that we can do it this season. I've got a little lazy eye on 3rd place. It's only a lazy eye. I'm not trying to do too much on that. But if we have a good month or two, yeah, maybe. But the fact I'm even thinking that, the fact that there's so many options in the attack and the midfield that I'm at a point where it's like, don't really care who you play except maybe at the back and maybe in goal. Mm-hmm. That's the only real question so far. But even then, they're in decent form.
Yeah.
It feels good. For the first time in ages, it feels good.
Because I said this, apart from Fofana, you realize 5 out of the defensive people put in a shift that last game. Sanchez, Kukurea, Tosin, and Cowell. Like, the only person you could say is suspect was Fofana, but if you really look at it, it's a centre back doing a job at right back. Yeah. So I still even
why I've not had a lot of energy for Disasi this season. I've just said stop playing him at right back. Just no more to that. If you want to play him centrally, go for it. I still think he was our best centre back in the first half of last season, and I don't think that's really worth a lot because our structure was a mess. But I actually thought he was a lot better than people gave him credit for. The whole Gilchrist is better than Disasi narrative and everything was ridiculous at the time. But just don't play him at right back. Same thing with Fofana. Tosin looks like an absolute colossus at the back. Is just like his first start for us in the Premier League. But starters you mean to go on. Cowell's actually building form. Same, Cucurella's been at that level anyway. Sanchez building himself into form. I don't want to do too much.
Let's not tackle it.
Arsenal, you have a chance to like exercise all your demons. Get a clean sheet against Arsenal,
and we will forgive you.
Yes, because dropping the game, like, I can't explain how angry I was coming out of that match. People like to be satisfied with a draw. I wanted to fight people who were telling me that. Don't tell me
we should have won that game.
10 minutes from a win, and we threw a 2-0 lead and we could have lost. It was like, ugh.
Let's pull it back to something you said when you were analyzing the squad. You said there's an issue in the midfield. Don't you think that's and you mentioned it. Do you think defensively and in the midfield will get better once everyone truly understands the structure?
Yeah, definitely. I say that there might still be like odd periods where we do get caught, because like that might just be a recurring weakness, but I do think we can minimize it throughout the season. Ultimately, the more these players get into the system, the more they're going to understand it. We seem to get a bit more from an offensive standpoint. We already look very comfortable in possession. It's just when we lose the ball and everything like that. And I want to keep an eye out on the second team too when we play in the Conference League and when we play in the League Cup matches, because Servette away was very eye-opening. Not just in terms of quality of the players, but in terms of like, for the B team and everything, where their level's at within the system too. And like maybe it would have improved in the last month, because I assume a lot of them would not have gone on international duty, which means they have plenty of time to work with the coach. But we have to see on that one.
Honestly, Servette away, I'm not taking anything from that. That pitch was god-awful. I played a better picture. I'm not...
Defensively, like, I was very concerned with, like, Badia Shield. To a point, Disasi, but it was, again, just more the don't play it right back. We got to that conclusion, leave it. Tosin, even to a point, wasn't good. And Jorgensen even had his bozo, but they all did. They all did. Like, the more I talk about it, like, it was just an awful game all round. It's just... because it's the Conference League. You can't be getting bodied like that.
Facts. Facts. Yeah. People are ultimately not going to bypass the game, whatever happened, and just look at the scoreline, because once they see the competition, they're going to look at that. What are your thoughts on Mihailo Mudryk and his time at Chelsea?
Honestly, I've said it on a lot of platforms. I think this guy is a 10 pretending to be a winger. And he's just not going to be a 10 at Chelsea, so you might as well just cut your losses and just loan him out somewhere, let him raise as much value in his name as possible, and just get rid. Because I don't think it's working, number one, and there's so many other options. It's like, where do you fit in? Like, the one thing that stands out to me with Mudryk is his vision and his passing. He's a good passer. He don't know how to use his pace. He's fast for nothing. He don't know when to run.
His IQ is very
telling him where to run all the time. But he's got a good pass on him. It's just we have so many better options we can play in the 10. Like, we're not going to play Mudryk there. So it's like,
here's my rebuttal to that though. Shouldn't his passing capability be an added attribute to his game as a winger versus we're looking at it and saying, oh, you can pass the ball well, playing a number 10? Because think about it, as a number 10, your IQ has to be levels above the average player on the field. So if we're saying he doesn't know when to use his basic attribute, which is running, how are we going to put him in the middle?
I always feel that, because like the one thing I noticed with Mudryk is like a lot of his best moves seem to be done in central areas. He seems to just be like ultimately a lot more comfortable in that area. When he's on the wings, you just don't know when to make runs. He always wants the ball to his feet. For a man who is so rapid, he wants the ball to his feet so much. And it's like, okay, if that's the guy you are, that's why I'm starting to think you might just be more accustomed to playing centrally as opposed to playing on the wing. His signature move on the wing is cut inside and shed upper. That's it. I start doing on my watch along with Mudryk bingo. When's the next time he's going to shoot out at the stadium? It's every time he's on the left. But he also has a good pass in him.
Yeah, he does.
I just think it's like my weird little theory. I think he could be a decent 10 somewhere.
And this is not slandering Mudryk for anyone watching. It's just reports coming out at this time while we're doing the recording is that the club is looking to bin their losses, put him on loan, and potentially sell him. So
it's sad, but it makes sense. It really makes sense. Like, there's too many good options on either wings for him to ever get an opportunity.
Yeah. Now let's take it back to Twitter, brother. Why you like to fight with people on Twitter? Why?
People just annoy me. That's just it. Or people try to start a fight half the time. And a lot of it, especially recently, is the amount of abuse that I got for still being Poch out towards the end of last season. And when he got sacked, drove me nuts, because it was like, what has happened to this football club? We used to sack managers for fun and nobody gave a damn, and they moved over after a week. And now Maurizio Pochettino is the one that you want to have this attachment to. You want to rip me because he didn't get top 4 in a trophy and he waffled and he held this team back and he made every single player look like a bag of garbage? Cool. You better hope we're crap this season. You better hope we're terrible, we're mid-table. You better hope I want Maresca out by midway through the season. Because I swear, if we end up getting back to the top with Enzo Maresca...
with a championship manager...
Yeah, I'm cooking everyone who tried to cook me for holding this club accountable to the standards that I grew up watching this club at. You wanted to have the attachment for Maurizio Pochettino. I won't ever let you forget that, because if we're successful with this football club, you didn't want this. You wanted Poch in charge. You wanted Maurizio Pochettino, because after we lost 5-0 at the Emirates, we went on a 5-game run that we only looked good in for 2. Okay, cool. 51 shots conceded in our last 3 of those games, but cool, we won 5 in a row. And because we're that malnourished over the last 2 years, we want to act like it means something. Calm. Because if we failed under Maresca, I think I'm hearing the end of it. Pre-season, the amount of crap I heard
in pre-season, bro, I saw it.
Because we lost to Celtic.
Who started pre-season long before we did, by the way.
Yep. Because we lost to Celtic and we lost to Real Madrid and we lost to Manchester City. God forbid we lose to the Three Peters. These men want to be moaning, chanting for Conor Gallagher like he would have done anything in those games. Talking about Maurizio Pochettino like he would have done anything in any of those games. Cool. I'm going to remind you what you wanted. because you didn't want to stand by a championship manager and you're all hypocrites. Because when it was Super Frankie Lampard getting wheeled into the dugout and he didn't even win the championship, he lost the playoff final, everybody wanted to suck it up for Frank for a year. Oh, but legend tax. Okay, so you've just shown you're hypocrites. Thank you. It's BS.
It is. Why can't? I feel like I'm stirring the pot with these questions. But why can't you just leave Conor Gallagher alone? They're gonna chant. They're gonna chant. Let it go, bro.
Here's the thing with me with Gallagher. And number one, first thing, I'm glad he's doing well at Atletico. I want nothing but the best for him now that he's gone. Just didn't rate him at Chelsea. I didn't think he was good enough for us. Could have been depth, but wasn't. I don't care about depth, so it's like, whatever. They're chanting about Gallagher while we're in losing positions. Like 20 minutes into the game against Man City. We're not doing well in the midfield. We've conceded early on. They're doing Gallagher chants because they're being petulant and they're being petty. It's not because he's a cult hero or anything, like the Solomon Kalou chant or anything. Servette at home. I didn't go to the game, but I heard from a lot of people that are at the game, every time Dewsbury Hall lost possession, they're chanting for Conor Gallagher. Because it's an act of petulance. We're speaking out against the owners. No, you're pissed because they sold Conor Gallagher. And instead of backing the players, like you should be doing when you're on the pitch, you're throwing your toys out of the pram for Conor Gallagher. Of all people. Like, he's even great.
Yeah.
And that's my problem with the chant. Like, if we're flying, we're 3-0 up and they're doing the Kalou chant, they're doing the Drogba chant, Fabregas, and then they want to wheel out a Gallagher chant. Don't care. We're winning. Don't care. When we're losing, chant about the players on the pitch. Chant for the team.
Give them that extra motivation.
Yeah. Don't chant for Gallagher because Dewsbury Hall's losing possession like that's going to help him. That's my problem with the chant.
Yeah, and I can understand that because it's not like Conor Gallagher was a forward where when we're in losing position, you know he would have changed something. He's a midfielder, and if I'll bring your attention to something in that City game, you know where we were really lacking was in the wing positions. City did not have an out and out fullback at an elite level, and with the players we had. If we had out and out wingers just to attack, we would have created more and eventually gotten out.
Or even like just Palmer a bit more sharper or anything because he just came off pre-season.
Exactly. So it wasn't necessarily the profile of Conor Gallagher we needed, where I could understand the chance. Yeah, that was just foreign to me. Like, there's nothing Gallagher could have done.
Like, Gallagher likes the City game. I always said, like, a game where we're being dominated in possession, go throw Gallagher on, fine. I understand the method behind that. But it weren't good enough for us to be crying about like that. So I don't get it. It just felt like another example of how the standards of this club have fallen. And it just also felt very stupid that the same match-going fans who talk about lack of support from fans online and everything are doing up, I feel disconnected, are doing up booing and groaning while we're trying to build the ball out the back, booing Maresca and booing Dewsbury Hall and doing up Gallagher chants and everything. And it's like, where were your standards? When we were getting bopped off the park everywhere and playing terrible football last season under Pochettino. None of you spoke out about the manager. Now you don't want to speak up now. Now you want to find standards in match day 1 when we're learning a new style of play under a new manager and we're playing the Four Peters, the former Champions League winners, the Club World Cup winners, the champions of the world. And how dare we be a goal behind to them in 20 minutes? Disgusted. Genuinely was so annoyed with our fan base at the time.
Okay.
Crying over Gallagher through all of that was ridiculous.
With that being said, no, it's kind of a silly question. Do you feel like you have a responsibility in the voice of Chelsea? And do you feel like I know this already, but I still have to ask. Do you ever mince your words or hold back to truly say what you want to say because you feel like you have a responsibility to the fan base to say things a certain way? Or just cut through?
If anything, I think it's complete in reverse. Like, I talk too quickly and I talk with too much passion, and that's more what it is, because like there's times where I could have been, and like maybe I've been a little bit more welcomed into the club and everything, but like I'll live or die by my takes. I don't ever want to be bought out or anything like that. So yeah, if anything, I think it's completely in reverse. I never hold my tongue on things.
Do you ever regret it?
Yeah, never.
Do you ever regret it? And when I say that, I don't mean I shouldn't have said that. I mean like, and you know how everybody has that one night or one moment when they're just to themselves and you're like, you know what? Maybe I could have said this a bit softer, delivered my message a bit calmer, dressed up a message differently.
Um, I can't give any examples, but like, there's definitely been times where I thought, okay, maybe I've said this wrong. Maybe I could have worded this better. Like, I ain't perfect. I know that. There's
Mm,
times where I'm gonna say the wrong thing, or there's gonna be L takes that I have as well,
mm.
and like that's
Everybody.
fine.
Mm,
I can own up to my mistakes when
mm,
I make them, but
mhm,
I have to see it first. But like,
mm,
yeah, there's definitely been times where I've regretted things I've said, or like the certain delivery or something. But
mm.
that's if I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. In it.
Yeah, understand. If you could sit down with the board, clearly Capital and Todd Bowley, what would be the first question you ask, and what would be your rebuttal to what they've done so far?
I'd probably ask about the seriousness of them both buying each other out, and like what that whole situation's about, because the pair of them bought Chelsea to succeed together. This whole civil war crap shouldn't be running, especially into year two or anything. But even I think that's a little bit overstated. If anything, I'd probably ask for their plans about Chelsea when we get back into the top four or get competitive for league titles. Because in my opinion, I think that's when we're really going to understand what Clear Lake's truly about. When we're in the top four and we're a consistent top four side, do we build the team to compete for titles and consistently do that? Or do we rest on our laurels because we got the Champions League money and everything? I think that's when we truly know what the club's about. As of right now, we don't really know because we're trying to build a club to get to that level, and we should have been there last season.
Mhm,
I can't blame the ownership for the squad building. I'm relatively fine with that personally.
mhm,
It's just the managerial identification. Seem
mhm,
to have picked the right manager now. Obviously, time will tell on it, but
mhm,
yeah, I think I'd ask for their main plans once they have Chelsea as a stabilized top four team.
mhm. And your rebuttal to what they've done so far, if any.
So, like, the negatives.
Yeah, like me, stop stockpiling and player trafficking. Just stop it. That's how I would tell them. Something
See,
like
like,
that.
I don't mind that to a point because for me, I kind of understand in terms of you got a core group of players who are going to shine in the first team. The rest you're going to develop and flip, use the profit to buy more players and either do the same or incorporate them into the first team. Again, you got to figure that one out in the next few years when we're a top four team. The rebuttal's just purely the manager identification. We could
Mhm.
have been top four and we could have had a Carabao already if you didn't hire Pochettino while you were trying to look for possession-based football.
Could I
Like,
argue could have also had the Carabao and the EFL and the Carabao and the FA Cup. Remember
maybe,
the
but like
City game? We could have won that City game, bro. I'm not accepting anything.
I agree, but I don't blame Poch for that one. Funnily enough, that's more just the attack. We
Mhm.
had more than enough chances to win, and when it's Manchester City, you're not going to get a lot of chances anyway. And when you look at the chances that we had, Nicholas Jackson threw on goal twice and he fumbled it. Could have had a
Sure.
penalty as well. There was a dodgy VAR call.
Mhm.
I can't blame Poch for that one. That's one for everyone who thinks I have a Poch agenda. I didn't ever try to blame him for that semi final.
I'm blaming him for him. Could I develop Jackson better? Could I take it off Jackson? Could I did something structurally to get something? There's always something a manager can do,
Hey,
but
bro,
to
I ain't
each
gonna
their
die
own.
on the Poch hill. Fair enough. You know what? Fair enough.
Yeah, so that's yeah. Fucking flashbacks. Sorry.
Manager identification. That's my main issue.
Mhm.
Because no one would be complaining about anything else if we were just back in the top four in year two under Todd Bowley and Clear Lake with a trophy or maybe even two. No
Yeah,
one
because
would be complaining.
yeah, everyone would chalk up that first year to ownership change, this, that, and the fourth.
Suddenly
Yeah.
everything looks a lot more stable. So
Hmm.
manager identification and honestly nothing else. People moan about stuff with the stadium and anything. Even Roman couldn't get the stadium situation sorted. It just is what it is.
Hmm. Do you resonate with any Chelsea player in the squad? Like, who's your favorite Chelsea player right now, if any? And if you don't have a favorite, is there a player that you identify with that you say, you know what, you're my guy?
Um, Probably Reece James, Caicedo, Palmer. I rate Sancho early on, but like again, it is just 2 games. I ain't trying to do too much too early with him, but that's about it. I don't really find myself resonating with a lot of them because it's like you still have to do
Proof.
something. You're at Chelsea Football Club. Not just getting us back to top 4 is going to do anything. I'm going to need to see some armpits. I need to see some trophies being lifted. Then we can have those conversations. But yeah, I mean, Cole Palmer, because he's just Cole Palmer. Like, it goes without saying with him. And Caicedo, I think, has been so heavily criticized. Not recently, but last season. So heavily criticized for his performances when he was playing well. Ended up resonating with him a little bit. James, because he's like probably the most senior player in the squad that I like. That's about it, really. That's about it.
Okay, and last question here. Probably gonna need a part 2 because I didn't ask half of the questions that I didn't get to ask.
Hey, but down for that. That's calm.
Yeah. Are you going to remove survived Pochettino from your tag? Why is it still there?
As a reminder. As a constant reminder. Survived Havertz is still in my bio, bro.
Oh my
There
god!
is another reminder. I won't let them forget. That will be there, God knows how long, until we either win the league or Maresca gets sacked. One or the other. When one or the other happens, then I might remove it. If we win the league title, I'm going to keep it there for another year, actually, in fact. Then I'll get rid of it. Because I'm going to let it sink in for a little bit. Remind everyone throughout the year as we're champions that you wanted to keep Poch. And then cool, I'll forget about it. We can move on. We can move on afterwards. Once we have the league title lifted.
All right, people. Thank you for joining us on the Fandom podcast. This has been a really good episode. I enjoyed talking to my guy, Lewis. You don't know anything said. Chelsea General. Peace. Bless up, people. Oh, shit. Sorry. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I'm new to this YouTube thing. I keep on forgetting to tell people to like, share, and subscribe. Lewis, bless up.
You guys haven't done it already. I'm disappointed. But yeah, big up, man.
Bless up.
We
Peace.
can get that part 2 wrapped up too. Let's run that.
Most definitely. Peace.